Megan, I don't know about you, but sometimes burning bridges can cause wrinkles.
Yeah, and I have noticed I have a few of them coming in, and I'm not too happy about it.
Luckily, there's amazing places like Youth Bar that can fix all your wrinkles and all your skincare needs.
I love them, actually. I've been to Youth Bar, and they did a great job on my Botox. I want to go in for like IV treatments. They've got filler, everything. So if you want to go to Youth Bar HFX on Instagram is where to go.
And if you love burning bridges just as much as we do, right now you can use the exclusive code BRIDGESBURN for special pricing on your first Botox or filler treatment or one of their many other services.
So are we going soon?
Let's go right now.
Okay. This is Bridges Burned with Megan and Amy.
Natalie Fournier has worked in marketing and communications for 20 years in both media and nonprofit sectors.
She started her career as a traffic reporter and was the morning show co-host on 94.9 The Rock in the GTA from 2014 to 2016
and did mornings in Halifax from 2016 to 2020.
From there, she's moved into behind-the-scenes role at Global News and left media to work in event planning, marketing, and communications. It's Natalie!
Hello! It's so weird to hear a bio about yourself. Like, I'm usually the one writing those and
you said this is your
those.
First time in, like, on the other side of
Yeah, but even in personal life, like, if someone asks me, what do you like to do for fun? I'm always like, what? Someone cares about my life?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what to say. Yeah, so
I've
it's
had
weird.
a lot of time when people ask me that, I'm like, I like my job. Like,
Yeah.
what we don't have hobbies.
Yeah, I don't. I never.
I don't have a job anymore, so
I'm actually out of hobbies. So...
Well, we are really excited to have you on. Natalie and I have known each other for a while now, and we're both women in media, and we all have our stories, and you have a story as well, and we're going to get to it in a bit, but let's have some icebreakers.
Nice. Thank you. Right.
What made you want to get into media in the first place?
Oh my gosh. I always loved acting and performing, and even now I do community theater around Halifax. I love it. To me, it's a great stress reliever. And I actually worked at the Value Village in Dartmouth in high school. It's not there anymore, but it's right. Yeah. And I used to do the announcements, right? Like the store's closing or like pick up after yourself. And people used to come up and say, you have such a great voice, you should be in radio. And of course, when you're like 16, 17, you're like, yes, I should. So I took a few years off after high school, then got into a college. The college sucked. It doesn't exist anymore. But it did open the door for a pretty cool career in media. So it really was just about having a decent voice and that encouragement from literally strangers.
Who knew it would all start at Valley Village?
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
I kind of love that.
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite experiences in your career? I know that's a hard question.
I think when I worked in promotions, so that was pretty behind the scenes in Ontario, in Oshawa, for a company called Durham Radio Inc., which, you know, I would really never advise anyone to get into media nowadays, male or female or whatever. But if you're going to, I would say go for a company like a smaller company like Durham Radio was. And I just got to go to like every concert. It was a country station, a rock station, and a classic hit station. So like every concert in the GTA, you name it, we were there. It was so cool.
That's always the best part, right? I think that's one of the things I miss. I see concerts or happening, and I'm like, oh,
it's kind of like working at Value Village where you get a sweet discount and then you go to the mall and you're like, I'm not paying $30 for a t-shirt. And then when you work in radio, you're like, I'm not paying $150 for a ticket. Like it's hard.
I wanted to go to a concert earlier this summer and people were like, you must know so many radio people you can ask. I'm like, I don't know anyone anymore. I literally know no one.
It's not like that anymore. It's like now it's a pool or this. And I love when people came out of the woodwork. So like, hey, do you got any tickets to see Lenny Kravitz? Like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
It's not 1980. It doesn't work like that.
And radio stations don't get just like a stack of tickets. Like you get 5 pairs and those are the ones you're giving away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you ended up in Toronto.
Yeah.
Is it different media culture there than here?
So I wasn't in Toronto proper, but in Oshawa, but that is part of the GTA. So a lot of the interactions I was having was with Toronto-based like companies and other media, especially like Live Nation, like concert promoters. I found just having the Halifax and Toronto experience, Halifax is so incestuous, and we all know that. You just know everybody. The same like three men keep getting grinded out of the friggin' like colander of, oh, now you work there, and oh, but you get fired, but you're going to work there again in 10 years. We all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then in Toronto, it's like, nobody knows each other. Nobody talks to each other. You do not interact with each other. Nobody knows anybody, which is kind of nice.
I found Vancouver like that. Like no one actually really cares about each other.
Yeah.
And here it's like people care very much about the
which
other.
is nice, I guess. There's like a friendship base. I know there's used to be a lunch that Rick Howe used to be a big part of, where everyone stayed connected, and that was really nice. I never got invited to those, but I'm sure the, 20 older generation of media people loved those. So
Yeah.
and I loved Rick Howe. Don't get me wrong. I loved him. His
His
big
wife,
fan.
Yvonne Colbert, was my broadcast journalism teacher.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It is such a small world.
It is.
Everything like that.
Yeah.
So when you became on air, were you right away a co-host or did you have your own show?
I actually got recruited in a way as a morning show proxy, I guess you could call it. So I was really lucky, which ended up something that kind of bit me in the ass because I became so, I guess, naive going into the situation in Halifax when I moved back here to take a morning show job. But my first morning show job was to fill in for the morning show hosts on The Rock, so 94.9 The Rock in Oshawa. So it was Craig Venn and Lucky, Mike Luck was his name. And these two guys were just like just nice guys. And Craig Venn was my hero, and he could do no wrong in my eyes. He fully supported me. I wasn't just a proxy, but I was also kind of like their only female co-host. So I had my own segment on their show in the morning that they would repeat. Like it was live, and then they would repeat that one the next morning, earlier in the morning. And I got that just for being funny. And I really thought it was a good compliment. Like I was the promotions assistant. And in meetings, I was just like, pop, 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 funny, making jokes. And the PD for The Rock was like, do you want to be on our show? Like just come in once in a while and talk about like your dating life and all this. And I had a bit of a following. It was pretty cool. And then when the guys would go on vacation, I would fill in for them. So that's kind of how I got the bug, I guess. I got totally spoiled by this group of really great people at a rock radio station.
There are some really great guys.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, we have been putting some spotlights on not so great guys. But for me, I couldn't think when I just came off of my last job. Jeff Brown was one of the greatest co-hosts I could ever have. And what a difference it makes when somebody believes in you and inspires you. And just you go to work and you're excited to spend the day with your best friend.
Mm-hmm. It's also nice to have a man that lets you talk.
Yes.
So I think that's where I became spoiled, is that Craig was the kind of host of the morning show where he wanted to let everyone else shine, kind of like Howard Stern. If you listen to Howard Stern, you can tell that he's just kind of the director, and all the other whack pack, I guess, is just like the highlight of the show. They're the real stars. And that's what I appreciated about Craig Venn and Doug Elliott, who's the PD, and Lucky, of course. Like they just really were like, hey, you're funnier than us, so you keep talking. You embarrass yourself.
The smartest co-hosts are the ones that realize the talent around them rather than having it get to their heads and that they're the star.
Yeah.
My favorite with male co-hosts was always if you said something funny as a woman and they're like, well, we can't go out on your joke, so I'm going to make a joke. And then it just keeps going longer and longer.
That never happens. If you can see my sarcastic face right now. Oh my God.
So speaking of being a co-host and having a male as the main host, there's always like a money difference we've found. What did you find?
I never asked and I never looked into it. I knew that everyone was going to make more money than me, especially if you're an on-air person, I'm a promotions person. Of course, you're going to make more money than me. But then when I got hired in Halifax to do mornings, I mean, I was hired at I feel like it was the highest rate in the union, and it was at 54. And I was like, oh my God, this is the most money I've ever made in my life. I'm moving to Halifax, not knowing that the taxes were more, and it didn't make a difference. But like I assumed, I never looked in the union handbook that closely. I just assumed that my male host, I guess, was making more money. And then knowing his career history, he's probably making six figures. Mm-hmm. But then you kind of start getting deeper into your job and you start realizing, what's the difference here? He presses a button.
And I can see like back in the 80s, you know, when you had to do reels and you had to do this. And now they just press a button.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing all the social media.
Yeah.
We're probably voice tracking another market somewhere else.
Yeah.
Having to do this and making like double the salary.
Totally. Yeah. And even the last male co-host I had, who was a great guy, you know, he played dumb a lot. Like, what is it? When you pretend you're not good at something so that your wife does it, like that typical, what's it called?
Weaponized incompetence.
Yeah. So he would talk about this, how he does it at home. So when I started noticing him doing it in the office, in the studio, I was like, you piece of shit. Like, I love you. Like, you're a great guy, but like, of course, you're so much better at Canva. You're so much better at it. And it's like, I can teach you.
Yeah.
Super easy.
There is something to be said for experience. I totally get that. I do think more experience should get paid more. But at the end of the day, once you start getting your experience and you start doing, like we said, the editing, the social media, all the shit that no one else wants to do, your pay should reflect that. And I feel like very often it's not, especially for women.
Yeah, totally. And then it's almost like just easier to accept it than fight it. And when I did leave, it was to go to Global News to do their promotions. And when I put in my notice with my manager, I was kind of expecting how do we keep you? Our ratings are good. How do we keep you? You're great. And I got oh man, that's too bad. And I was like, okay, I'm not even asking you for money. I'm actually making $2,000 less at Global. Yeah. Like, I'm taking a pay cut to get the hell out of here. But if you said, we'll give you 60, I would have stayed. Totally.
It's nice to think that you're valued and going to be missed.
No, but I know someone who was missed, which is an interesting segue into the future conversation that we'll have, I'm sure.
I want to have that conversation now.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, it's your big story. Just tell us.
So, again, like, I was in probably my mid-30s. Like, this wasn't even 10 years ago. And this was my first morning show gig. So I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and thought, oh my gosh, I'm working with this person who has lots of experience and they're going to teach me so much. And it's a brand new radio station, like a new format. And I started in, I want to say like June of 2016. And by October, I was sexually assaulted by my co-host. So it wasn't like, it was sexual assault. It's like, there's different tiers of sexual assault. This was obviously not the top tier. Like, this was not violent rape or anything, but it was a violent act with a sexual connotation to it, like sexual manner.
And I think too, just if people don't know a morning show, first of all, you're waking up at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
You are exhausted. You are not sleeping. And you and your coworker are essentially the only two people in the building in a soundproof room by yourselves.
Yeah.
There's no one else around. So it's an arranged marriage.
Totally. So the way the morning show room was set up, it was kind of like a lung-shaped console. So my desk was across the room from the door, and his side of the console was right at the door. So I don't know how much detail I should go into this. So he used to bring his dogs to work all the time. No big deal. He had like 3 little dogs. And one day he didn't bring them, which is fine. Some days he did, some days he didn't. But he had this leather leash. And the windowsill in this control room was like, it had a ledge around it. And he laid it there, and I didn't think anything of it. And it wasn't until after the show was done, I'm packing up my bag. I think we probably had a meeting after that. And he usually wore like track pants, and he would swiftly walk. And it was just all I heard was this noise. Like, that's how he would walk. He would walk with purpose. And I saw him grab the leash, and he came up behind me, put the leash over my head. It fell into my mouth. So I remember just being like, trying to grab at it out of my mouth. It went into my neck. And when I held onto it, because I was like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah. It's, 9 o'clock in the morning. Like you said, you're tired. You're just like, you don't even know where you're at. No one's around yet. And he said, oh no, that's not how you do it. And he took his other hand, his right hand, put it into my hair, pulled my head back, and drove his hips into my ass. while he pulled on the leash. And he laughed, let go, and walked right back to his side of the console. And I just was standing there stunned, and all I could say was, that wasn't cool. I was like, what the fuck do I say here? How do I react here? Sadly, I was thinking, what's appropriate?
Yeah.
And sadly, as you alluded to, Amy, pretty much every job I've ever had, I've been sexually harassed in some way. And I'm sure both of you have experienced that. There's always some man I had a guy when I worked at, he was the engineer. He used to stand over my cubicle and throw pennies down my shirt, try to get them into my shirt, right? But you're like in your 20s. You're like, I don't know, what is this? There's all kinds of freaky, weird, creepy guys everywhere.
And you're supposed to joke around.
Yes.
Cool radio.
Yeah.
Girl.
And that's the problem with radio is, and maybe it's not a problem. I never thought it was a problem. I mean, obviously the pennies and weird, creepy guys are the problem. But what I liked about radio is that you could make sexual jokes. You could be funny. You could be outrageous off air in the halls. And everyone was like that. And it was fun. But this was this isn't that fun. So I remember looking at the door going, if I run out of here to tell our program director, I have to pass him. I have to walk by him. And what if he stops me? What if he puts his body out and going, where are you going? And I just let it go. I let it go for a year before I said something.
Is that right?
Yeah, I let it go for a year.
Was it when you first began that happened?
Yeah, it was 4 months in to when I started. So I was like, you don't want to lose your job. I moved here from Ontario. I left a relationship. I left a good job. I'm living in the Toronto area. There's lots of opportunities there. My family's here. I didn't want to lose this job. I wanted to be on mornings. This was my dream. And in 10, 15 seconds, it was dream crushed, deflated. When I tell people this story, and I don't really tell people this story, but when I've told my therapist, I've told family and friends, one thing that always sticks out to me, I never saw that leash again. He never brought it in before, and he never brought it in after. It was this leather brown leash, and his dogs always had those leashes that had the nylon, the brakes, with the handle. Mm. And his dogs weren't there. Why did he bring a leash in that day?
Do you think he planned it to kind of see what you would do, and then if you seemed like you wanted to go further, he would do that, or to antagonize you, or what?
The initial thought, I didn't have any theories at first. I was totally stunned and depressed and I don't know what to do with this. My partner at the time, his theory was, well, he probably has a crush on you. I was like, that's a weird, I know the whole if a boy likes you, he'll pull your hair when you're a child, but this is different. I was like, maybe because he knows you and I are starting to get together, maybe he's feeling jealous, but that's a weird thing. And then it was years and years of him and I, my partner and I, talking about it until we kind of decided that maybe it was because I was excelling.
Oh.
And I was getting not attention from listeners, but people were starting to realize oh, you're not the star of the show.
You're the morning show.
Yeah. It's a pairing. It's not just this entity person that used to be on another station in Halifax. You have a co-host and she's biting back. And that was what I liked when I was on the rock station, was that I was allowed to have the last laugh, have the out.
Yeah.
I was allowed to interact with the guys and be funnier than them. This particular co-host did not like that.
He wanted to assert his dominance?
I think he wanted to show me I'm in power. I've got the power. Still don't understand how that's how you do it. You left the house that morning going,
at 4 in the morning.
I'm taking this dog leash to work and I'm going to strangle her with it to show her you need to back off.
Did you go to work the next day?
Yeah.
Was anything ever said?
No, I never said anything to him. He never said anything to me. And then it was a year later. I mean, the show was going downhill from there because we just were not. The worst thing that happened in that year was we got 5th place. So we both got bonused. It wasn't great bonus, but we both got bonused. This show is doing really well. And all I could think was, fuck. Like, I have to fucking stay here because this is my dream. We're having success. I'm miserable, but like, I have to see this through, not just for bonuses, but like success. Like, it's your dream.
Yeah.
And about like a year after the incident, that's when all the Me Too stuff was coming out. And I was inspired by the women who were coming out about Matt Lauer and how he had that button in his dressing room to close the door. Like, what? Like, you think you know somebody, or, you know, you think like that guy can do that. I mean, so I remember seeing all these guys, like the moment a comment or a tweet or somebody, you know, a woman was coming out to say something, these men were getting fired, like canceled.
Yeah.
And it's not like I wanted this guy's life to be ruined, but it was like, okay, I think I have a stand here. I think I can say something. So I remember going to my boss, telling him about it. I think I ruined his life in that moment, because I think like that's the last thing you're expecting someone, your coworker, to say to you. Yeah. I remember asking if he wanted me to talk to national HR or local HR. And now I think about it, I'm like, there's no HR locally. So I was like, well, let's keep it local. Again, I don't know, because I just thought, let's just keep it local because he'll get fired. He'll get fired tomorrow. 3 months of, I don't know what, like, how do you even describe it? They basically, they didn't tell anyone nationally about it in the company, as far as I knew. There is no HR person in Halifax at the office. So they basically put this guy, really trying hard not to say his name, they put him on leave.
Immediately?
Pretty much, like the next day or 2 days after. Like, I still had to work with him, like, to see the rest of the week out or something like that.
Did he know that you had told?
No.
Okay.
So they made sure that I left for the day. They told him, and they said, you know, basically, like, until we get this figured out, you don't come into this office. I don't know if he had keys to the office. I don't know if he was getting paid. I assumed he was, which made me infuriated.
Yeah, that you're doing all the work now, and he got a little slap on the wrist and gets to sleep past 3:30 in the morning and get paid.
Yeah. So the next steps were for me to be interviewed by the general manager, my program director, the president of the union, who was the manager of the promotions office, who was some, like, you know, love the guy, but he was like a 28-year-old kid. And I'm in this room, this small boardroom, crying my eyes out, retelling the story. What color was the leash? How wide was it? You know, like these crazy questions. I'm like, all men.
There wasn't one woman in that room with you.
No. And just thinking, like, these are my coworkers and they know really intimate, weird things. And because no one saw it, and, you know, it was just becoming this weird. I get it. You have to do your due diligence. But I just was thinking, man, this is not like on TV. Not to sound like a kid, like immature, but you're just inundated those few months when Me Too was huge, like just men getting fired for like nothing. Sometimes it was just like, oh, we had a bad date, you know, and people were getting canceled. So I was just spent a lot of time being confused. And it was 3 months. It was 3 months of people in the hallway. Where's
Don't believe it.
People in the hallways, like, asking me, where is he? What's he up to? Is he okay? Is he sick? And I had to go, oh, he's just on an extended vacation. So I had to do that.
So you're doing the show all by yourself for 3 months?
I had the afternoon guy moved into the morning shift. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't know why he had to. No one knew except me. And people would ask me and I had to be compliant. Yeah. Like, I had to go along with the story. And he had the opportunity to also get interviewed by the same group of people, and they allowed him to write this rebuttal letter. And he outlined all of the times I made him uncomfortable.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
And I was like, and it's interesting that he remembers these. Again, when you're on radio, you make funny jokes and sometimes they're inappropriate. He remembered all of those that I made. I'll admit it. Yeah, I was making some, not towards him. I'm not talking physically about him. I would talk about somebody else or just a situation, a celebrity. So he remembered all that, but he said he doesn't remember the leash incident, but if he did it, it was because he's a, quote, jokester. So it's like you're kind of admitting that you remember that you did this.
Yeah.
and that that it's like an inappropriate situation. But they let me read it, which I found totally inappropriate. I should not have been allowed to read that. And it wasn't until maybe a month after that they finally released him. And the email that went out was, so-and-so no longer works at whatever. We wish him well on his future endeavors. And I was like, I'm out of here. You guys fucking suck. You suck. Like,
that's why
there was no... I mean, it took me 2 years because I wanted to see it out. I wanted to see it through like a new co-host. I wanted to give it a chance. But from that moment, I was like, this was not what I expected. I expected, shame. I expected that scene from Game of Thrones, right? Of like, get the hell out of here, you fucking freak.
Everyone finding out, like they did with Matt.
Yeah.
Everyone finding out what happened.
Being like shocked. I was thinking people are going to be shocked. This is shocking. No, it was just like... Man, you guys had an opportunity to tell staff we will not tolerate sexual, especially when you have the sister station's a rock station. We will not tolerate inappropriate behavior between colleagues or like, even if a listener comes up to you and makes you uncomfortable, we will not tolerate that. And they basically showed me what happened was okay. We had to make a decision. It was 3 months of, what are we going to do about this? They did not care about me. They let me flounder in the hallways. I became so insecure, uncomfortable. Like, you're just uncomfortable. You don't want to spend time with staff because they're asking you, where's this person? Where's this person? What's going on? Listeners were asking, and that hurt too. I never got offered counseling, nothing. So it's just a bad situation.
They could have made so many things right and, helped you in this situation. And on a scale of 1 to 10 in your personal, 10 being like the worst, how well do you think they dealt with it?
4. Like I felt in those meetings that even though it was all men, I felt like they cared. They felt like they had empathy for, when I would cry or get upset about something, but they also had to keep a very neutral reaction to a lot of things. And then I would see those guys like the next day at the staff meeting and have to pretend like, oh, you didn't see me cry yesterday. I didn't tell you that I got choked with a dog leash.
Did the people in the hallway that had been asking you before, once he was officially fired, did they find out what happened or did you tell them?
No, I didn't tell anyone. And I remember talking to my program director about it a few months later. And he was like, you can talk about it on air. You can tell people what happened. And I was like, how? This is, first of all, not the format for it.
What?
Second, what am I going to say? Like this?
What are you going to capitalize off of your when they didn't even help you?
I know. It was so odd.
That segment, J-Lo and Ben are back together. By the way, this person's gone because he choked.
I know.
Coming up in 7 minutes. More details. What?
Yeah. A great tease.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who used to work here, who sexually assaulted me right here. Yeah. I know. We can laugh about it now.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
I know that's hard and just you're not the only one.
Totally. Yeah. And that makes me feel better about it of like, it's sad that there's a lot of, and then a lot of stories like this. And then the few people that know about it within the city, it did bother me that, of course, this individual blocked everybody. But I was just so disappointed that certain people that knew were still friends with him on social media. And I understand that it is very incestuous here and you do have to make those connections because you never know who could be your boss or who could be your next co-host. So I understand that. It just kind of hurt that people were still willing to hire this person or be friendly with them.
Do you think that's just because they just didn't know?
And maybe it's just that. Or they don't care or they know it's the way of this industry. And it was interesting to hear some stories about him from people that weren't maybe necessarily as bad, but getting the sense that this person is a violent, hot-headed, erratic person that should not be allowed to work with people. Like, regardless of what he did to me, the stories that I heard, it was like, I don't think you should be in society.
So that one day with you obviously was terrible. What was the rest of the working relationship like? Like before that, after that, is he just insane? I've never met this person, so I've never.
Yeah, he would come up to me, like I'd be on my, it's a high console, so my chair was up high. My feet would dangle because I'm short. But I'd be, typing something or getting prepared for something, and he would come around my side of the console and pretend to punch me in the face or kick me in the face. And he would do that and be like, I have such great control.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you're trying to punch me in the face. Like, I could move my face a millimeter and you would be punching me in the face. Like, I don't know. It's just odd. He would make really odd sexual comments about coworkers, about the wives of coworkers, about people on TV or celebrities. Again, it's kind of the way of the land, so you just go with it. The odd thing I felt when I first started working with him, and then after the situation and until he left, was he never let me talk. It was beyond the never letting me have the last word. It was like when I got engaged, he would tell the story. Like if something came up like on the complete sheet or like in life, and I'd be like, oh, I was doing wedding planning stuff and this happened. He would tell the whole story, and I would just be going, yeah, yep. And like, what the fuck? Like, he really was trying to control the narrative of like everything. Yeah. And it was annoying, but then also like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I getting up at 3:00 in the morning? Why am I sitting here in silence? We would not talk. Like, it would be silent, and like the songs would play and he would just be on his phone and I would be like on my phone, like,
people don't realize that, like, when the music is off, and you're not, or so when the music's playing and you're not talking, those studios can be deadly silent.
Yeah, and he loved having like music up really loud, so it kind of made it hard to talk anyway. But he also liked to control what the show was about, and I never had experience with this before, so I wasn't sure, like, is this normal where he would come up with the show prep about everything? And then if I was like, oh, something really funny happened to me last night or on the weekend, he would be like, yeah, but how are we going to get into it? How are we going to talk about it? How does that relate to like a celebrity? And I'd be like, what? Like, or you could just tell me to fuck off. Like, if you don't want me to talk or share my life, what am I doing here? I'm not a hole. Like, I'm not interested in that. Yeah. I'm not the laugh track for you and your fucking weird life. Like, I have a life. You sit in your dark ass house with your weird dogs and you don't have anyone that loves you and you fucking stink like smelly laundry, like,
mildew laundry,
and you get weird haircuts. Like, that's your life.
Is he not married?
I don't think so. I think he was, and he lied about it or didn't tell me or something, but now the past like 7-8 years, I have no idea what his life is.
I have a story of this person.
Okay.
It was
fun.
And we used to go to these Christmas parties in Toronto.
Okay.
And they would fly us all in, and they were these great parties.
Yeah.
Fun.
They were fun. And so everybody across Canada at that company would go. And he was in another province.
Yeah.
And I guess him and the sales manager's wife were having an affair. And the sale manager found out at the Christmas party, and he didn't even, like, this was like a weekend thing. He didn't even make it to the actual Christmas party day. Like, he flew home. I never knew what happened after.
The radio guy, or the sales
guy?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Just like bolted back to.
And was this maybe around the time that he left that station?
Yes.
Yeah, interesting.
Why are the sales managers always having affairs?
Because they're usually like hot. Yeah, it's gift cards,
sushi ramen.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my god, I used a lot of those back in the day.
Right? We all have mercury poisoning now, but hey, it was fun.
It was.
How long after? So you said you stayed 2 years after he was booted.
Yeah.
And when did you like officially leave media completely?
I started at Global News 3 weeks before the pandemic. And I was so thankful that I was not working in radio during the pandemic. Holy crap. I don't know how people were doing it, especially on the format that I was on, because we had changed it to like really easy listening. Mm-hmm. And it was like, how do you stay positive? Because the whole vibe of the station was like positive and everything's happy and sunshine. Like, the world is literally on fire.
Yeah. They needed that.
They sure did. Global News was great. TV was definitely a different beast than radio. No one makes jokes in TV, which was a nice change. I was like, oh my God, I'm not being sexually harassed at work.
People on TV are very rule-abiding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They just want to get the job done.
Yeah.
They're hardworking. And everyone was great at Global News. And then that was kind of when I left. I got a job in nonprofit. It was for a lot more money, surprisingly. That was the sad departure. I have not dealt with the grief, I guess, of it because I'm still I feel like I'm still in it. I still talk about it. I miss it. I wish that things were different. I wish that things worked out differently. I wish I never moved back to Halifax, I guess, in a lot of ways.
It's funny because recently being let go.
Yeah.
And Megan's been a great support for me through this because only people who worked in media really understand.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like a breakup. But not just a breakup with that station, but with my career for 20 years. That's all I've known what to do.
Yeah.
It's, it's like a part of you. And when you don't have that creative outlet or you can't crack jokes, you just don't know what to do with yourself and how to move on to the next chapter.
Yeah. It's as nice to have people like in your life that still understand radio because it is a really weird beast. And it is like a breakup for sure. And then, you sit in front of your resume and go, how do you explain I got paid to tell fart jokes for 5 years, to get a job in communications? I don't, and then I hear people who have jobs in communications and PR who did radio. I'm like, how did you do that? Who trusted you with that information? Yeah, I definitely have not processed the grief part of it, but I think, I used to be ashamed of being involved in community theater because it is something like juvenile, I guess, or like people don't think it's a real hobby.
People play in beer leagues all the
time. I know. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a stress reliever. It's a hobby. The people I've met are so great, and it gave me an outlet to perform in front of people and get that immediate feedback of like, yeah, my ratings are good. We sold out. Or you're meeting other, I like to call them misfits. Like you're meeting other people. Radio people, media people are misfits in a different way. And then you have theater people who are misfits in creative, unique ways. And it was like, even though we're different people, you still have that connection of being a misfit.
You do.
Yeah.
I agree.
If you were still working in media, or if you got offered a job back in media, do you think you'd go back? What would you want to see changed?
I, again, don't have a lot of... I have a lot of experience in media, but didn't work for a lot of different companies or people. I think if Doug Elliott called me or Craig Venn called me and they were like, we want you to do a morning show, I would be in for sure, depending on the pay, of course, but I would be in for sure.
After this, that's so much.
I know, right?
She's making real money now. She's like, I don't know if I can go back.
I don't know, but I'm making more now than I was making it. I think because I was spoiled by them, I really was treated well, and they got me, and I really value people like that. And I think if you are in media and you have those coworkers or those people in your life that maybe you don't work for anymore or work with, to just keep in touch with them and, not to look for a job or like what I just said, hey, Doug, call me, but just more like
your number's actually under the screen right now.
I'm desperate. No, but I'm not desperate. But those people were good people. They deserve the good things that happened to them. And, can't thank them enough for being great male radio coworkers.
Because there are some of those.
There are some. Yeah.
Absolutely. There really is. And it makes the whole difference. One of my first co-hosts was just terrible. He was terrible to me. He would steal my work if I did an interview with somebody and I was like, here, we can play that. Because I left my morning show because of him. So I was doing afternoons and I interviewed someone pretty big. He cut me out, asked my questions, and made it his interview. But that's how I became one of my very close friends with somebody, because she called me out of the blue and she was like, this is random. I know you worked with him. I feel like I'm going crazy. Can I talk to you? And I was like, of course. And the first time I ever met this amazing friend of mine was in a Starbucks with her bawling about everything he did.
Yeah.
And when you like you said, you just want to play nice and you just want to, and you have to feel like it's not your fault. This is nothing to do with you. And I'm so sorry this is happening to you.
Yeah.
We need to be in a world where if somebody does something wrong, especially in media, there's no fear at all. It's like no questions asked. We go talk to someone about it.
Yeah.
Because literally, I think all of us have lived our radio careers worried about saying the wrong thing, getting fired from a job, making sure everyone's happy, not pissing anyone off. Like, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting to hear the stories.
Yeah. And the nice thing about Global News was my boss was a woman. And I bet if something...
What was that like?
I know, right? She was still to this day, I use her as a reference. Like, she, you know, had that place, like, just organized, everyone, you know, but she was really struggling with a staff that was all leaving. When I left, there was maybe 4 other people that left that month, and it wasn't about her. Like, when I had my exit interview, it was like, this is not a management thing. This is just a pay thing. This is just, you know, I can't speak for other people, but I know the journalists, like the reporters were like overworked, you know, working long hours. It had nothing to do with management. And then she's like, you know, the HR person's like, oh, we've been hearing that, which is nice. So it's like, you know, but I know if I went to her and said, like, something happened, she would have been, like, right on it. And not because she's a woman and I'm a woman, but I think just she just didn't want to fuck around. Like, let's get this dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there is somebody in media or in an industry and they hear your story and they've been through it, what would you want to say to them?
Don't wait too long. To say something to somebody, don't be afraid. I remember being asked in one of those interviews, what did you say after he walked away from you? And I said, that wasn't cool. And they were like, okay, that's a good answer. You know, that was the response I got, was like, good. Because I guess if I said, or whatever, like, I'm just a girl, it would have been like, you were asking for it. Like, you did something. But because I said, no, you know, a negative response, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, then this is really something to be serious about. But I still look back on that day and thought, like, I can picture the door and just being like, I should have just, you know, what the fuck, man? And I should have walked to that door, burst into the PD's office and been like, this just happened. You do something about it. But again, I was a couple months in. I was, you know, in my 30s. Like, even if that happened tomorrow, I'd probably still do the same thing, sadly. Like, not that I didn't learn my lesson, but just, you want to be the good girl. You want to be the person that they hired, that compliant, like, I'm going with the flow. I'm the cool girl. I don't want to lose my job. But my advice would be you'll always have a job. Someone will always see your worth and your value, or you get the hell out of media.
I feel like nowadays, too, they're not just going to fire you for that kind of thing, because they're just going to get the hugest backlash.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
From that.
Totally.
Well, thank you so much.
No, is that it?
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I know, same.
And it's nice for you guys to reunite.
Yes.
Thanks for walking through the fire with...
Oh, this is great. Oh, my God. I was thinking about the burning bridges thing, and, like, did I burn a bridge? You know, I don't think I burned a bridge, but I feel like the bridge was burned for me. Yeah. And, you know, when you first reached out to me about this, I'm a very visual person. So I saw this, like, me walking across one of those creaky, you know, bridges from, like, Ace Ventura 2, Pet Detective, Cliffhanger, like that kind of situation, like cliffs everywhere. And getting to that end point where I'm like, I said my story, I told my PD, and I turned around in this vision, and my PD was lighting the match behind me. And not out of, like, go fuck yourself, Natalie, but just more like, I can't help you here. Like, it's not that you're not welcome. It's just like, this is not the place for you.
And I think, too, it is a boys' club. To this day, it's a bunch of, you know, some are great, some are not. Some don't deserve their job. They just know the right people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, let's say you were going to go get somewhere. They'd be like, oh, Natalie's great, but da-da-da-da-da. Oh, yeah, I have to watch out about this.
Yeah.
And da-da-da-da-da. Oh, she might complain about it. Like, and that's, as women, what we know.
Oh, yeah. I know that PD would say that I was not good in the halls. I know he would say that about me. But I did that because, you know, we're done our job at 9:30. Everyone else is just getting to their desks. Yeah. I don't want to bother people, because I know what that's like when I was in promo and you have the morning show people going, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, and they're eating their lunch over your desk. Like, oh, what's that? Is that tickets for something? And you're like, can you fuck the fuck off? Like, I just got here. Like, you know, and you know, and that's what I didn't want to do. But I was always nice to people and saying hi.
So he wanted you to be more schmoozy?
I don't know. Like, there was never like instructions, but I think it was frowned upon. Like, you would see the male hosts getting all the remotes, or they were getting all of the paid sort of extra work. And they would try to keep this on the rotation. But, this particular host that I've been talking about, like, he used to edit video. So stupid. He would go to a remote and basically make a commercial and put it on Facebook. And it's like, yeah, but the algorithms aren't, someone's going to see that 4 days from now and be like, oh, there's a sale at a paint store. No, that was a week ago. Like, it was just a stupid, but the business owners loved it.
Yeah.
They would call a radio station. We want another remote, but we want so-and-so there because they make a commercial. And then the rock station got pissed because they were losing remotes. So that got kiboshed quickly, which I was like, thank God. Like, go fuck yourself, man, with your stupid fucking commercials. Give other people a chance.
I've never seen one of these.
It's so stupid and ridiculous because also at a remote, I think you should be 100% or 90% focused on talking to the listeners that are visiting you, mingling with the the staff at the remote location, talking to the manager. Whereas this guy was just like nose deep into his phone, editing, and doing interviews. Like, get over yourself. It was a lot of smoke and mirrors, and that was working for him. I really don't know where I was going with this, but it's just that, like, he was getting a lot of support from the salespeople for doing that. The clients loved it. They were spending money. That's great. And I was leaving at 9:30, not because I wanted to go home, but just like, I don't have anything else to do here and I don't want to bother people. But like the two male hosts that I had at that station were the jolly, going from office to office and saying hi. And it's like, that's what you want to do, man. That's on you.
I kind of felt that way, actually. The first radio station I worked for, I felt like I was supposed to be like that as well. So I was staying like an hour before. Obviously, you come in an hour before you do show prep and stuff. But I was staying multiple hours after the show. They weren't just having events for the station, but they were having like get-togethers and like parties at each other's houses.
Oh.
And because I didn't go, I was like, I think people were like, Megan's a bitch, Megan's that. I'm like, I don't want to go to your house. I don't really know you, and to be honest, I don't feel comfortable with you. I just didn't feel comfortable with them. But it was the same thing, I think, until I got a new boss, which was our boss. He actually saw me and liked me, and it wasn't an issue. But the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
I actually 3 days after my grandmother died, I was brought in to an office and told that I needed an attitude change.
Oh my God.
By one of the most miserable people I've ever met in my life. And so it was like, oh, okay. And so I turned that frown upside down and played those Christmas games 3 days after my grandmother died.
Jesus.
But just like there's just not a certain way to act. So maybe I will go work at like a cubicle and be like, don't talk to me.
I know, right? It's great.
Oh God. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming on the show.
Thank you.